millions of websites around the world? They were built using Drupal, the free, open-source content management system. It's leading a digital transformation across industries. From one hub to many, simple to complex, with swift page loading and easy content editing, multilingual capabilities, and rigorous security, Drupal is the platform that performs. 70% of universities use Drupal. Media rely on Drupal for extensive delivery of content. Governments count on Drupal. Finance and commerce sites need Drupal for security. Tourism destinations bring their clear waters and mountains to life on screens using Drupal. Are you marketing for the future? The next billion customers of digital experiences will probably never have a personal computer in their homes. Drupal scales video, audio, and text to all devices. Work from a centralized content hub. Stretch your strategy across sites and channels. Whether it's one site to many, or simple to complex, Drupal is the building block. Choose help along your journey with our partners. Dream big. Drupal will get you there.
I'd love to welcome you all to the event. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tim Lennon. I'm Hestenet on Drupal.org. And I have had the privilege to serve as the interim executive director for the Drupal Association since September. Our community has grown in terms of personas. There are the builders, the developers, the front-end designers, the UX designers, everyone who is involved in building digital experiences, in building Drupal itself. All of you are here with us today. But beyond that, we've also brought in the content editors and the digital marketers who now have a dedicated track within Drupalcon. And we're really excited about their presence here with us at the conference. And finally, we're bringing in decision makers and people at end user organizations of Drupal to close the feedback loop so that we understand their needs and where Drupal needs to go to support their use. Our community itself is becoming more diverse and inclusive. I want to give a special shout out to the Diversity and Inclusion Group who have led the way, pushing us to elevate the voices of underrepresented people, inspiring us to expand that speaker inclusion program, and who've rolled up their sleeves to do the work on Drupal.org and here at DrupalCon. Finally, I want to give a quick update, sort of a governance update. We've had a lot of conversations over the past couple of years about evolving Drupal's governance. And in this particular area, I wanted to give an update about the Community Working Group. And so that escalation body that the Community Working Group can rely on is made up of the community elected positions of the Drupal Association board. So that's currently Suzanne and Ryan. And we've brought in a third-party outside member to give us a perspective beyond just the Drupal community. So that's Joan O'Bacon, who will be joining that review committee. And I want to say some thank yous because the Promote Drupal initiative is not possible without the support of many individuals and organizations. In particular, I'd like to thank the top contributors who helped build some of these materials first, both individuals and organizations who did a lot of work to make those materials that I. So next, I'd like to talk about some updates from some more updates from the association, in particular around Drupal.org tooling. I think something might have happened involving a new virtual assistant on April 1st that was helping everybody out. That was really the big one, really exciting. But actually, the main thing I'd like to talk about is our partnership with GitLab and the tooling upgrade that just happened in the last 2 weeks on Drupal.org. Yes, thank you. So this has been a multi-year, multi-working group, multi-committee initiative, and we finally made a decision to move forward with a partner, in this case GitLab, and we've completed that first phase of that work, which means that all of those code viewing links anywhere on Drupal.org in old issues and new issues in the sidebar of projects, all that stuff will now take you to the beautiful and much more usable code viewing interface in GitLab. If you're a maintainer of a project, you can already use inline editing tools within that interface. And coming next, we'll begin an incremental rollout of additional features, and that means merge requests are not too far away. So we're really excited about this, really excited about these changes. We're still working together with the GitLab team to make this happen. In fact, they're going to be here this week. There's a panel on Thursday morning if you have questions about this process or just want to hear about the journey. So we're thrilled with this and thrilled to keep improving and evolving the tooling that the Drupal community. In no particular order, here are all the top 75, I believe, contributors over the last year. In terms of contribution credits. Yes, a round of applause for these people who have moved Drupal forward. Absolutely. Also, coffee. For the first time at DrupalCon, it will be free all day in the exhibit hall during exhibit hall hours. Yeah, I thought that would get applause. I was pretty sure that was like the most important slide I had in this whole day. One more thing, some of you may be wondering, where's the pre-note? What happened to that thing? So I just want to encourage you, don't miss Trivia Night. There will be a special surprise there. And finally, I would like to welcome the Community Working Group up to the stage to present the Aaron Windborne Award.
And I'm here today with the fellow working group members, Mike Anello, Jordana Fung, and Alex Burrows. So we're a group of volunteers whose job it is to foster a friendly and welcoming environment for the Drupal project and to uphold the Drupal Code of Conduct.
We're here today to give out this year's Aaron Windborne Award, which is named after a long-time Drupal contributor who lost his battle with ALS in 2015.
So this year's winner is someone whose contributions have helped create a more welcoming and inclusive community. So please join me in thanking and welcoming to the stage Leslie Glynn.
Thank you all so much. There's never in a million years did I ever think that I'd be standing up here receiving this great honor. I would be much more comfortable standing at the back door back there, counting people coming in to the keynote today. But thank you to all the wonderful people in the community that helped me over the years learn how to be a good community member, all the past volunteers, camp organizers, Drupalcon organizers, everybody that's helped me out. I want to say one quick word. I was lucky enough to be at at NICE Camp at the UN in 2013 when Aaron Windborne was able to give the keynote speech. Aaron was in a wheelchair. He was using assistive technology, but he still spoke to the audience, told them about the media module, how proud he was of all the volunteers that helped. And now we're proud of all the volunteers that have helped now and bring that into core. He'd be so proud of everybody that helped out with that. So thank you very much.
I'm the Chief Marketing Officer from Acquia. And thank you for those of you who were able to join us last night at the Acquia party. Hope everyone had a good time. And who knew how many great ping pong players we have in the crowd. So congratulations to the ping pong winners. So I have the great pleasure of introducing Driss. For the Driss Note this morning. He'll talk a lot about the road to Drupal 9, and one of the things that I think is equally as important, the road to Drupal 9, is kind of what happens between now and then. So he'll be spending some time on that, and as always, he'll update beyond the code, talking about community values and principles to life, and the efforts to promote Drupal to the world. So it's my distinct pleasure to be able to introduce the founder of Drupal, the founder and CTO of Acquia, and my friend, Driss.
Congratulations on your award. I was actually crying as I was listening to your story, and still emotional about it, apparently. Sorry about that. Tim Lennon actually talked about, as part of his intro, he talked a little bit about diversity and inclusion, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about that today. And so what they told me is that diversity in open source is actually much worse than diversity in the technology sector. In technology, generally, 1 out of 5 developers aren't men. But in open source, it's actually much worse. Only 1 in 20 identify as not male. And so seeing these statistics, obviously makes me wonder how we're doing in Drupal, and we don't have good data. But regardless, clearly there's a lot of room for improvement. Different factors to this. But one of the factors is the issue of time. Right? And so there are systemic issues that basically negatively affect underrepresented groups. To contribute to open source is a privilege, but open source isn't actually a meritocracy, because not everybody has free time. And so I believe that we have an obligation to try and do something about that, especially those that have time. We can do something about this today. And so those that have time to contribute, we should really try and make an effort to welcome other people in the community. And there's a lot of different ways you can do this. You can intentionally try to welcome people. You can mentor people from underrepresented groups when they ask you to. And you can also make space if you're in a community organizing rule or an event organizing rule. You can make space to give them time to present or lead sprints, these kinds of things, the things that we're starting to do or have been doing now for several years with the Drupal Association. Organizations can also do a lot of things. Obviously, you can pay your employees to contribute. So people don't have to work at night or on the weekend. You can pay them full-time, you can pay them part-time. You can also donate to different programs that allow others to contribute. So these are just some of the things that you can do as an organization. Drupal 8 keeps on growing. We have 35% more Drupal 8 sites compared to a year ago. The platform is also really stable because we have almost 50% more stable Drupal 8 modules compared to a year ago, which is really fantastic news for those that are looking to migrate to Drupal 8 and may not have been able to yet because some of the modules weren't ready. So more and more modules are getting ready and getting ready very quickly. We're also less than 3 weeks away from launching 8.7, which is going to be a fantastic release. Yeah. And so let's talk a little bit more about that. Talk about the first strategic track, which is to make Drupal easy for content creators and site builders. Right? And you can see some of the initiatives that we have on this track. And then for each of the initiatives, by the way, we have roadmaps and plans. And so it's kind of like, it cascades down. So first, let's look at layout. So I'm going to show you a video of the progress we've made in the layout builder.
Umami is a website with recipes. One of Umami's recipes was just featured on a TV show. Because the featured recipe is getting so much traffic from people who are watching the TV show, we want to take advantage of that. We don't have time to involve our development team, it's too slow. As an Umami editor, I've been tasked with creating and adding a new banner on the recipe page that links to a special offer. I'll use the layout builder to do this. This banner is new content that doesn't exist elsewhere on the site, so I start by creating a new block and entering the content. Since I'm using Layout Builder, I immediately get a preview of what the banner will look like. It looks good, but I think it would be better to replace the existing image with the new banner. So I delete the old image, and using Layout Builder's drag and drop, I can move the new banner into the place that the old image was in. It can be cumbersome to move large items like this, so I use the Toggle Preview checkbox to show small textual representations of the block instead. This makes it very easy and fast to move things. Alternatively, I could use the keyboard or screen reader to navigate and use the Layout Builder because it conforms to web content accessibility guidelines recommended by the World Wide Web Consortium. This means it's accessible for everyone. If you are a keyboard user, it's actually very fast. In this example, the block is being moved using only the keyboard. The Layout Builder supports all the basic use cases that you've come to expect, but it also supports more complex workflows. For example, you can send layouts through a staging or approval workflow. As such, this recipe has remained unchanged throughout this editing process. Now that I'm happy with the way the page looks, I can publish it right from the same interface. Staging layouts is not something that many systems support, but Drupal's Layout Builder does. In this example, we showed a fairly simple workflow, but because it leverages Drupal's powerful workflow engine, it can handle very advanced workflows too. I now see my new banner on the published page, and it looks fantastic. As you can see, I was able to add a banner in just a few minutes, and with Drupal's workflow integration, I was able to do that safely. No need to involve our developers.
Yeah.
Next, let's look at
There's more.
Instead of editing the layout of a single page, let's edit the layout of a collection of pages. This is particularly useful for large sites with hundreds or thousands of pages. Umami did a usability study on its recipe pages, and one of the takeaways was that users get confused with the white space below the image. The UX and design teams have recommended that we display the recipe information next to each other rather than stacked below each other. We have hundreds of recipes on our website, and it would be very tedious to update them one by one. Fortunately, I can use Layout Builder to update all recipe layouts at once by modifying the default layout for all recipes. Here we are looking at the layout template for a recipe. I've added a new 4-column region in between the image and the ingredients, and now I can drag and drop each of the recipe quick stats into those columns. After saving the new default layout, I go to my content list page, click on a random recipe, and I can see that the new layout has been applied. Much better. Being able to edit templated layouts like this is a powerful differentiator from other layout builders, and it's a huge time saver for sites with lots of content.
In total, 123 people contributed to this. And I can tell you from spending time with them, or some of them, not all 123, but some of the bigger names on this screen, they worked weekends, they worked nights, they gave up vacation days to get this stable for 8.7. Like, this team deserves a big round of applause. Next, I'm going to talk about the layout builder and the layout initiative, which originally was started by Aaron, as Leslie mentioned. And so I have a video about that as well. I'm going to play it now.
Here at Umami, we have the ability to display additional related photos and videos at the bottom of our articles on our site. We use Drupal 8's media library, which makes it really easy to create and reuse multiple kinds of media. As an Umami editor, I was tasked with adding some mushroom photos to the end of an article about mushrooms. This is where the media library comes in handy. I can edit the article, scroll to the bottom, and click the Add Media button. The media library opens, and I can see media used elsewhere on the site. One of the existing images is of a mushroom, so I go ahead and select that. I want more than one photo, though, so I'll upload a few more. I can upload as many files at once as I need to, so I choose 3 images of mushrooms. Once they're done uploading, I notice that one of them isn't a mushroom. That's okay, though, because it's easy to remove that item before saving. Once I enter any required fields, metadata in this case, I can save and immediately insert the new media into the field. But I choose Save and Select because I want to add more media. This field allows images and remote video, so I see a tab for each of these media types. I switch to the Remote Video tab and paste a URL for a video hosted on Vimeo. I now see both my images and video in the widget, where I can rearrange them to my liking. Once happy, I save the article and scroll down to see my additional media displayed as I would expect.
These things are stable, some of them are experimental, and some of them are still in progress. The biggest thing we probably have to do is have the WYSIWYG integration, so they can easily embed images or videos from within, the WYSIWYG tool in Drupal. So we'll keep working on that. Hopefully, we can target that for 8.8, which will be roughly 6 months from today. In total, 310 people, individuals, have come together to make this happen, which is a crazy number. And they would tell me, end users, customers, potential customers, they're looking at more modern experience. And so we decided to start this initiative. And it's really important, right? Because I do think a lot of people, when they look something that looks a little bit dated, they make assumptions about how the technology actually is under the hood. It does look a lot more modern. It feels a lot more modern. There's actually much better use of space. It has better accessibility. It's better because it has more contrast, it has more space to click, all of these things. And so, pretty excited about this. We don't quite know when it will be ready, but we're hoping to target 8.8 or 8.9, which could actually be great timing because it's getting close to the release of Drupal 9, and it would give Drupal 9 sort of a fresh coat of paint, if you will. Did a lot of improvements on Migrate. So Migrate and Migrate API are the tools that organizations use to migrate from, say, Drupal 7 to Drupal 8, or from Drupal 6 to Drupal 8, or even from another platform to Drupal 8. And one of the key people on that initiative is a quiet one, Vicky. And so she's a long-term contributor of Drupal. She's been very passionate about open source. We achieved a major milestone for the API First initiative, and that's that JSON API got committed to Drupal 8.7. It will be stable, so it's shipping as a stable module in just 3 weeks. We support all of the different configurations that you can think of, which is pretty exciting. 146 people worked on this, and they've worked on JSON API specifically for 2 years. This is the result of 2 years of hard work. Drupal 9 will ship in a year and 2 months or so. That's pretty close, right? Anyone feeling a little anxiety? So most people are pretty excited here, except maybe one emoji that's a little bit more terrified. But for the most part, it should be exciting. The target is June 2020. However, we have the option to fall back to December 2020, just in case we need more time to prepare. But things are going really well right now, and so June 2020 looks very likely, I would say. So, what does that mean? Well, it means that Drupal 9 is basically identical to Drupal 8.9, minus the deprecated code, plus the updated third-party dependencies, right? That's really what it means. And so there's not like major new things in 9 compared to 8.9. And that's important because any Drupal 8 module that does not use deprecated code will continue to work with Drupal 9. Yes. And so that means that the upgrade from 8 to 9 should be easy, all right? It's kind of a big deal because, again, 7 to 8 can be pretty hard, but Drupal to 8 to 9 will be easy. Now, there's a little asterisk there. You see that? I can zoom into it. Drupal 8.7 will be released in 3 weeks, and it's jam-packed with innovation. Drupal 7 has community support until November 2021, and we'll have commercial support after that for at least another 3 years. There are many reasons to upgrade to Drupal 8 now, and you should, if you can. Drupal 9 is targeted to be released in June 2020, and updating from 8 to 9 will be easy, assuming we manage deprecations well, and we will, right? I've put all of that together in this little timeline, which I'll share in my slides when I share the slides in my blog, maybe something you want to print out, hang up next to your bed or in your cubicle, send to your manager maybe, but it puts it all kind of together in an easy-to-use visual. And then the call to action, let's work on being more and more diverse and inclusive of others. Something that we all can help with. It's something that all of our organizations can help with. Let's start removing the use of deprecated code. And let's start removing it now, because we get to benefit from that now. The benefit doesn't come with Drupal 9. The benefit comes today, because you're using better, more modern APIs today. And last, let's try and refocus on the automated upgrades problem. I think we've done a great job across the board, all of these tracks, amazing progress, but I wish we could really make a little bit more progress on the automated upgrade problem, and I think we can. And so let's try and do that, make it a focus the next 6 months between now and Drupalcon Amsterdam. So with that, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you.
You need a system to manage your content, Drupal. If you want to build a web application, you gotta download Drupal. Drupal, 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 Drupal. Drupal, 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 Drupal. Drupal, 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 Drupal. Second verse, If you want to build a web application, see, we did this in rehearsal, and I said I was going to mess it up when we got out here. Okay, we're going to do it again. Okay, everybody this time. If you got a website, you need a system to manage your content, Drupal. If you want to build a web application, you got to download Drupal. Drupal, 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 Drupal. Meet you guys again. Drupal, 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 Drupal. Drupal, 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 Drupal. Drupal, 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 Drupal. One more time. Drupal, 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 Drupal. Drupal, 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 Drupal.